You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit, on WCRadio.com. Yeah! Energized. So I just eaten half a pizza. It's very tasty. There's pizzas at Asda, which consist of... You can make your own pizza. Those of you who don't know what Asda is, it's like Walmart, only not as terrible. And I get mine made with steak, chili beef, spicy chicken, and more chicken. You know what? It works very well. However, I have to stop eating the pizza because I have to talk to you guys. Well, I hope you've all been properly schooled and informed by that interview. Very informative. Very good to hear about the Oxyron Plus Zero strategy. Also good to hear that they are somewhat concerned about 3.2 and the content within. Now, in an attempt to alleviate some of this concern and stop the really stupid questions that keep popping up all over the goddamn forums, Blizzard has that's not a word. But I can make it a word. Releacently. Ha-ha! Brand new word here, coined on the show. They have releacently a Q&A. It's a combination of released and recently. They've recently released a Q&A. And this Q&A consists of half Crusaders Colosseum and half Isle of Conquest. So, we're going to go through this FAQ, and if you're not in the IRC channel, then you're very foolish. irc.mmoirc.com, # or pound WoW Radio, or click the chatler button. What am I saying? The chat button on the top of the screen on WCRadio.com. Yeah. If you are a podcast listener, then I would suggest you go check out the following. MMO-champion.com/index.php topic equals 85973.0. Yeah, MMO Champion are fantastic for getting really, really convoluted links. So yeah, that's index.php topic equals 85973.0. Yeah, awesome. Right, so we're going to go through this, and that's basically going to be the rest of the show. We're going to be going through this because this is freaking huge. So we're going to go through it point by point and talk about it. Now, this FAQ is done by Tom Chilton, as well as the lead encounter designer, Scott Mercer, who I've never heard of before, and lead world designer, Alex Afrisiabi. Interesting. Now, let's go through these and see which ones suck and which ones don't. We're picking away the wheat from the chaff. First question is, for clarification purposes, what are the official names of each of the new dungeons coming in patch 3.2, Call of the Crusade, and what is the style and format of each dungeon? Yeah, we don't care. Honestly, we don't care. We already know this. You guys already know that there's a 5-man and a 10-man and a 25-man, and there's a hard mode 10 and 25-man that are now called heroics. Yep. Heroic is not 25-man anymore. There's normal and heroics, and there's 10 and 25-man versions of both normal and heroic. And the heroic ones are hard modes. Yeah, all of it's hard modes. Instead of some gimmicky way of setting them, like pushing a big red button or DPSing a heart down or whatever, you just select, I want to do it on the hard mode. And that's it. And the whole thing is a gladiatorial arena battle against a series of creatures and bosses. Yes, that's all it is. You walk into an arena, you fight bosses, you get loot. That's it. Apparently there are a few twists along the way to give it a more epic feel. Spoiler alert, if you do not want this to be spoiled for you, then for the love of God, please tune out for the next 25 seconds. You have been warned. Okay, one of the epic twists is the fact that I believe, this may or may not be correct, you either get teleported or you fall through the floor of the Colosseum where Anubarak is awaiting in his underground lair. Oh, that's about it by the sounds of it. Right, you can tune back in now. If you've been sticking your fingers in your ears and going, la la la, don't want to hear it, then you can tune back in. Yes. Now! /poke. Right, next question. How difficult do we expect the normal and heroic versions of the Trial of the Champion to be compared to other 5-man dungeons? And will the normal version have a lookout like that of a heroic dungeon? For the most part, quote, players will find that the challenges of the two respective 5-player difficulty settings are roughly on par with 5-player instances already available in Wrath of the Lich King. Why? Wait a minute. So, let me just to make sure I understand this. You're giving away better loot in an instance that is exactly the same difficulty. Yeah? Didn't you learn anything from Magister's Terrace? Magister's Terrace gave better loot because it was harder than everything else. That was the point. It's like, right, we think our players, after this long, may have actually learned how to successfully do a 5-man. So here we go. Here's a brand new 5-man with some better loot in it. Because you deserve it, because it's a harder 5-man. Can we do it this time? No. That would be silly. Oh. What are you doing? So, right, okay, so it's about the same difficulty as not Old War, that would be daft, as the 5-mans in Wrath of the Lich King. Okay, so we can expect to be able to AoE down the entire thing and collect a big chest of epic loot at the end. Oh, I'm feeling much better. And yeah, apparently there won't be any lockout in the normal version, which we knew, and no daily dungeon quest associated with it, which we don't care about, and the heroic version will be included in the daily heroic dungeon quest rotation. So just in case you didn't get enough free loot, you also get to get 2 emblems of triumph. Yay. Literally from fighting Hogger. No kidding. Do we plan, or do indeed we have plans for the Argent Warhorse and the Trial of the Champion to scale based on characters' gear? Do we care? No. Oh no, scaling vehicles, like we gave a damn in the first place, they basically affect nothing. So yeah, apparently they don't. There's no plans for that at all. How will achievements work for the Trial of the Crusader and the Trial of the Grand Crusader, and will there be 4 types of achievement to be completed? There aren't 4 different categories of achievements where you'll have 10-player normal, 10-player heroic, 25-man normal, 25-player heroic achievement categories. There will be 10-player and 25-player achievement categories, with achievements for normal and heroic modes in each of these categories. Say, for instance, you'll have an achievement in the 25-man category to defeat a boss on normal difficulty, and an achievement in the same category to defeat that boss on heroic difficulty. There'll be standard fun achievements for defeating bosses under specific criteria, which will be applied to normal or heroic modes. Lastly, there will also be some special achievements for tribute runs that can be earned depending on the... I'm sorry, I'm just falling asleep at the thought of so much space being dedicated to talking about achievements. Who cares? Talk about content. Will there be any kind of reputation tiles associated with the Colosseum, and will there be 310% Mount Meta achievements? Why? Stop talking about achievements. It's another paragraph about achievements. We don't care. Go away. So I'll pick out what actually matters out of this particular quote. As with other Wrath of the Lich King dungeons, players are welcome to wear faction tabards to gain reputation with a faction of their choice. In other words, no, there isn't. That's a roundabout way of saying no, there is no new rep whatsoever. Champion seals will also drop through the heroic 5, 10, and 25-man players versions of the Crusaders Colosseum. With that said, players will not gain reputation simply for completing objectives in the Colosseum, whether on normal or heroic difficulty. There will be no 310% speed mount offered through a meta achievement reward, as the current 310% speed mount offered will not be removed when the patch 3.2 is released. These guys can't even spell their own stuff when the patch 3.2. Come on. Going back to achievements though, you have unlocked achievement. Can't spell for Jack. You want someone to proofread? Hey, I could use a better job. Dear Lord. Apparently we'll be offering some great feats of strength. Yeah, care. Next question. I just like the little comment that's there if you're reading along with this community team. There are currently 4 separate modes of Colosseum raids. 10-player, 25-player, 10-player heroic, 25-player... Why do you say that? What's that got to do with anything? We already knew this. It's like you said this at the start of the interview. Right back here. You see what you said in the second category? Yes, that's exactly what you said, right there. So why repeat it? It's like channeling the spirit of Fangtooth. Anyone who doesn't remember Fangtooth? Fangtooth was a little bit crazy. Let me put it that way. I don't think he currently works for Blizzard. If he does, he's in hiding. This guy said the most bizarre things. And it's the same thing. It's like, so, Fangtooth, can you tell us a little bit about the relative difficulty of Yogg plus 0 and the attempts that you are going to be making to rectify the situation in the future? I like ponies and flowers. Murlocs. That was basically all he did. It was good for a while, but then the gimmick kind of wore off. So yes, Fangtooth, if you're listening, you were the best of the worst. Anyway, let's get on with this. What is the reasoning behind this raid setup? We love hard modes, and we've seen that they are a very popular addition to World of Warcraft. With who? Are you kidding? Oh, you serious? Right, okay. So, let's have a look and see whether or not that's actually true. Now, don't get me wrong, I like hard modes, but very popular? Really? Okay. If you say so. Well, I suppose then you can explain why only 3.48% of active raiding guilds have beaten XT002 on hard mode. Or maybe you can explain to me why only about, let's see, was it about 8%? It's stupid, like 8% of raiders have beaten Sartharian 3 Drakes. And indeed, if you have a look at it, if I remember correctly, yes, I thought so, only 28% have actually beaten Sartharian 1 Drake up. So yes, very popular for a tiny, tiny portion of the community. Extremely popular. I'll tell you what would be more popular, a properly scaled raid. Anyway, that's enough ranting in that regard. So yeah, what they're saying is they're going to be making distinctions between the different difficulties more clear. In other words, oh, I accidentally activated the hard mode by blowing up XT002's heart. Who thought that was a good idea? Or press the big red button that says do not press at the back. Or, oh dear, I've just killed everything in the wrong order, so I'm now on hard mode. Yeah, so they're making it less obtuse. I don't object to that, because hey, there's a game that doesn't make the difficulty settings obtuse at all, and it's called DDO. And you've got the 4 difficulties for every instance, and it's just got it right there. Solo, normal, hard, elite. There, right there, you know exactly what you're getting into, and it even gives a little tooltip saying, you'll probably need a group to manage this, blah blah blah. Now it goes on to say, difficulty settings are still relatively new in the game, particularly for the raiding scene, and we're constantly looking for ways to improve and iterate upon the system. Well, yeah, having the ability to select the difficulty levels is generally a good idea. If you're gonna have selectable difficulty, make it selectable. Apply that to any other game and see how ridiculous it is. And let's say I'm playing Bioshock, yeah? And instead of selecting the difficulty level, easy, medium, or hard, on Bioshock, I go into the game, and there's a certain combination of buttons that I press in the game, somewhere in the game, that activates the game's hard mode. No, you don't do it that way. Absolutely not. So yeah, I'm glad you're finally doing it the sensible way. That's always good. Now they go on to say, since in the current Wrath of the Lich King raids, switching to a heroic mode means switching to 25-player mode, how will players turn on the new heroic mode? Who asked that question? How do you think they're gonna turn it on? You gotta select it from a menu! Oh.
Not one, but 2 Jormungandr worms!
Yes, I know, it's terrifying. Really. What a crazy concept. Why would you ask a question like that? Seriously. And of course, what did they say? It will function very similar to the way you do it now. Just you have more options. Holy crap, that is insanity. I am truly floored by the innovation and the shocking way that they've decided to do it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not mocking Blizzard for this. I'm mocking the guy who asked the question. Are you serious? Let me tell you this, if you can't work that out for yourself, you have no business being in a raid instance. At all. I'm sorry, the lacking of common sense here, it's really emanating from the screen. There is a thick, vile fog spewing out of the ventilation ducts of my monitor, saying, oh god, be careful, you're gonna be infected by the dumb. Oh, jeez. Let's get on with another question. What are the planned item levels for the gear that drops in each of the new Colosseum instances, and how will the gear differentiate from one instance to another? Oh gee, I don't know. Maybe the easy ones will drop lower item level loot, and the harder ones will drop higher item level loot. I'm excited. You get a gold star. Are you serious? At least they gave a rundown there, and I don't need to repeat that. You guys already know there's going to be higher item level loot for the more stuff, but the one interesting thing is that the Trial of the Champion, which is the 5-player, will drop item level 200 and item level 213, so that's 10-man Nax and 25-man level Nax gear. Okay? The 10-player one will drop item 232, which is 25-man Ulduar level gear. And the Trial of the Grand Crusader and the Trial of the Crusader 25-man, they'll both drop item level 245. And the Trial of the Grand Crusader is going to drop something ridiculous. Plus, there'll be extra stuff for doing the tribute run well. That's basically it. Shouldn't be too hard for people to work out. Now we'll be back after the break with more on this. I want to finish this Q&A before I actually go on to the illusion of choice, so we'll do a little bit of a longer show today. My name is Total Biscuit, and you're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. Into Fire, the token of time, as requested by email. So shall it be!